All right, let's talk about map rankings for home service businesses. This is for plumbing pros. And one of the things that we've been doing is to try to get Sal Stewart, who runs Plumbing Pros in Easton, Pennsylvania, ranking higher. And you can see that we've been doing a lot of stuff here, a lot of creating content, getting his book out. He's got a knowledge panel now. We're running ads. There's a lot of just standard stuff that you do to do lead gen for plumbers. And you can see, like, even, here every Friday we do the MAA report. So we had 13 leads, which are phone calls. Our goal is, $190 or less. So $81 per phone call. We're tracking how much revenue that is. And you see every week we've been doing this. And it's been going on for probably close to a year. And we're tuning on Facebook, we're tuning on Google, we're repurposing articles, right? You can see here, 23, this is good. So usually the first couple weeks of November is usually good. And then it kind of curtails a little bit during the winter unless they have like a broken water heater or something like that, right? So obviously we want them to answer the call because that's a good signal for Google, a good signal for Facebook, passing back the conversion data, not just like saying, oh, we drove a call or we drove a lead, like someone filled out a form that doesn't count. We want to see it all the way through, right? And we always want to get more because his business is growing. And with our help, he's now grown to a seven-figure business when he was just $300,000 when he started with us. So I said, hey, how do we get more? Well, let's currently set the spent 2,000 per week, but we can increase it. Okay, we'll increase it. Like, do I have to tell our people, like, should it, should be like obvious, like let's, and the whole point of MAA is let's get more unless he's so, which has happened a few months ago where we generated so much marketing. Then he said, oh, stop, you got to turn it off, which is great, right? All right. So you can see continuing, doing more stuff, metrics analysis action, and we can see that we're starting to generate some traction. This is called the grid, local grid.
And that's right in
And
LSA.
no, well, LSA is local service ads, which are paid ads in Google. But we also have these tools that we pay for, like Local Falcon is one where we can look at businesses and see how they rank on certain keywords like plumber near me or what. It's all based on GeoGrid location. So we can look at, any of these, like this one, the dentist. We can look at the data and see, how they rank on the map. In this case here, this dentist only ranks right where their office is in green here. And then there's so many dentists, they're not even in the first 20, right? And any of these is based on someone looking for a particular keyword. In this case, dentist, Atlanta, Georgia, which we don't want to go after because this guy does cosmetic dentistry. And from where you search, you're going to get a different search result. So if I search from here versus here, and it doesn't matter which tool you use, you're going to get a different, it's going to get like the same basic results because this is based on the IP address. If you're over here in this part of town, you type in Italian restaurant, you're going to get a different result than if you're in Peachtree Corners and you type in Italian restaurant, right? It's because it's based on how close you are for local services. Okay. So Google tells you these things. It shows you a map of where the leads are coming from, third-party tools like this, SEO tools. And there's another tool we've been using. In this case here, we're looking at Plumbing Pros, and we put in some of these words that we are monitoring for. And these things change all the time. So just because you have a win doesn't mean, and then it all depends on how competitive that term is, right? So emergency plumber is different than drain cleaning. So let's look at some of these. So this one, plumbing companies near me, November 17th. This is a snapshot. We can see we had 1.23% of the time we were in the top three. We had 100% coverage, so we're showing up, but in the top three, only 1% of the time right here. Then 4 days later, look at that. So, and this is what all these SEO people love to show. Like, oh, green everywhere, right? Well, yeah, but it needs to be green on a term that actually has volume and actually makes the phone ring, not just like some esoteric term that no one searches on. And then you claim victory on a race that doesn't matter. So 74%, then another scan just a couple days ago, up to 75%. And that's on the term plumbing companies near me. So that's
probably pretty valuable.
that's a valuable one. Yeah. And so we always choose the ones, like plumber near me or, Easton plumber. So when we're talking about a geo vertical company, so, Northfield orthopedic surgeon. There's the geo and then there's the category. And the category has different subcategories related to it, plumbing, HVAC, water heater, whatever. And it has different, it can have an implied geo. So near me is an implied geo. Actually saying the city name is an explicit geo, right? So we can say emergency plumber near me, which is a little more specific than plumber. And so an emergency plumber, how is that different than a plumber? Emergency plumber is like, I need somebody right now. So Google's going to show people that are generally a little closer. And also, Google's looking at whether people are responding. If someone's calling at 11 p.m. and that business isn't open, they're not going to show them. So we recently just switched to 24 hours, which is also part of this. Being open 24 hours is actually very important. Google, what you have listed on your GBP on open hours is, and whether you answer the phone and actually answer the phone as a real human, not a robo answer, all those are actually very important, but most local businesses don't know that, right? So you can see in Basecamp, we went on and on and on explaining, you've got to be open 24/7, and I said,
It's 24/7.
oh, whatever.
It's right here.
Yeah, I know. I see it.
Got it.
Yeah, I see it was highlighted. 24 is highlighted. So I said, we really need to be 24/7. And he sort of fought me on this. He's like, yeah, we'll hire a VA who'll do it. And then we have a third-party service that's answering it and all this. Okay, fantastic, right? And even before that, we were saying like, hey, and he was like resisting. Oh, I don't know if I want to do it. All these people I was want to resist. Like, okay, I'm just telling you, Google doesn't. I'm just saying like, you really should be 24/7. Oh, it's in the previous thread. So this update 7, update 6. So every time we get close to 100 messages in here, that's when we have to move to a new update thread. So we've been doing, once it's gotten to the 7th update thread, that means we've been doing a lot.
That's a lot of communication.
That's what's necessary to get things done. So where is it? Anyway, there's a lot of this discussion about, hey, really need to be 24/7, please. Let's make it 24/7, okay? Just trust me on this one, okay? Answer the phone. So that's the case. So it's not just one thing. That's what I'm trying to show. It's a mix of all these different things that we're doing. And as a result, we're moving up on emergency plumber. Drain cleaning, which plumbers do, right? We started out on drain cleaning. This is where we were. And now we're a little bit better, right? Moved from 40% top 3 to 49%.
Wow.
So that's maybe a couple extra clicks. I can look at the volume that's there. Plumber Easton, but this plumbing company.
74,000. So 9% is.
Well, there's not 74,000 people in that city that are. I mean, any of this keyword data is always estimated, right?
Makes sense.
Not necessarily accurate. Plumbing services near me, you can see a big change. So initially, 28% of the time. Normally, like where your office is the most important part because that's where everything starts from. If your office is over here, you can't just start ranking over here. So obviously, you're going to rank for people searching right next to your office. But you want to, and it also depends like, is this a major city center? There's a lot of other plumbers over here and a lot of plumbers over here. But, 28%, this was 12 days ago. And now, November 23rd, look at that. Number 1 in almost all these categories.
Wow.
So this is great, right? And it's like lowish to medium difficulty, $13, 26 keyword difficulty. And so some of these terms we see movement and some we don't. So here we're seeing a huge improvement on here plumbing companies, just general plumbing services, emergency plumbing somewhat, but plumber overall, maybe not, right? Plumbers sort of fluctuated. Like we're already up at 80% in this area. And in Easton, which is a suburb that we're talking about, this is not Philly. So basically, most of the traffic, Zuckville, that's funny. Most of the traffic is right here. And then outside in the more suburban, there's just not quite as many. So we already were doing well. So already had 100% coverage. So not a huge bump, but on the more competitive terms, we're seeing a bigger bump. And the thing is so we're using a service packaged in with all the other stuff that we're doing. This is through Jumper Media. They do I wrote a whole note explaining how incentivized traffic works, which is kind of gray hat-ish. I think it's gray hat, but if you do other things the right way, then it's okay. So we had this one, Ardmore Windows and Doors. We're doing a little trial here, and we could see that looking at the percent increase in performance. So the Ardmore Windows and Doors does windows and doors. So window installation, window repair, window replacement. So you can see like this one, window installation. You look at the snapshot, 1%. This is where they started November 17th.
Wow.
Very little. And then all of a sudden, 64% in the top three.
Wow.
So because we're ranking better, doesn't mean that the phone was ringing more. We'd have to look inside the CRM, inside the Google Business Profile. So that's what, I was starting to do over here, where I'm looking at these different businesses to see, where this is, in this case, plumbing. Oh, this is Ardmore. So here we want to see like, okay, well, how many people are looking at the Google Business Profile? And did that drive more calls? And where these calls come from? And so this by itself in Google Business Profile doesn't tell us whether it came from the stuff that we just did.
Mm-hmm.
We can infer. So we have to have detailed plumbing to be able to see that just because we're ranking better, we need to see it all the way through and track it to where it came from. So that's why all the tracking is so necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good sign. Like window repair, 1% to 48%. See, like that's pretty hard to argue. You can use anybody's tool to determine that's the case. So we are paying $300 a month for what these guys do at Jumper Media. And they do white label to agencies, but clients can also, if they want, just go direct, but then they need to do all the other stuff in addition to this. So we're like, you can go to these guys directly. A lot of agencies are starting to use this service, but then they have to package in other stuff because otherwise it's like, okay, well, if you're not adding other value, then I'll just go ahead and buy this Jumper Media thing myself. But if we do all the other stuff and we use this, the combination of that seems to generate a stronger result. So you can see these ones are, look at this. This is significant. So is this worth $300 a month? $1,000 a month? Well, if they're already doing pretty well on Google, then it can be worth $10,000 a month. It just depends on like if their Google Business Profile isn't ranking in the top, like basically if they're ranking positions like 4 to 7 on a competitive term and we can then bump them up into the top 3, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a huge win.
If they're starting out in position like 37 and we move to 13, like it doesn't matter, right? So they already have to be pretty strong, and then we're going to see
because you got to be on that first page.
Yeah, the thing is, we'll move them up a few positions, right? This is not magic. This is like just a few positions. So you can see like Flax Dental, we did not get an improvement, and we tried and tried and tried, and you can see here that like dentist. Well, the thing is, dentist is not even the right term because these guys do cosmetic dentistry. So I mean, yeah, I got a 1% improvement. Like, okay, yeah, whatever. What we really wanted was dental implants and cosmetic dentistry and smile makeover. So the setup of this was wrong. Even though it's called Flax Dental, they're not a regular dentist. Like they are very specialized, high ticket dentists. So, arguably we chose the wrong keywords or there's a penalty on the site, which I talked to Colton, who founded this company, and we both agree there's a penalty on the site because the site speed, because the previous agency created a whole bunch of robo pages, and we're just suffering from that penalty and trying to fix that. Another one that failed was this Awad law firm. So it's a personal injury attorney, but not all PIs are the same. Now, all the PIs do want personal injury attorney, car accident, truck accident. Like these are all standard things. But like here, personal injury attorney Atlanta, we didn't get any movement at all. We were at 0 and we were still at 0. In fact, not only 0 top 3, but our coverage improved. Our coverage is at 1%, meaning we weren't even here up until 12%. So we're showing up in the top 20, but we're none in the top 3. So you could argue like, okay, so we went from 1% coverage to 12% coverage, but that wasn't strong enough to get us any improvement in top 3s because we had none in the top 3 to begin with. So when we looked at this, personal injury attorney, right? Let's look at that one. Same thing, 1% to 13%, car accident, like all these other ones near me or the city name. This is different and worth looking at because this guy is his like 80, 90%, maybe even more of his clients are Muslim. And so he's Ibrahim Awad. He's the karate attorney. And he's posted a lot of stuff on Palestine and all this stuff that you're like not supposed to talk about, okay? About Israel and so he said some things that are political, and our advice is to not go into that whole thing unless you really want to. So if you look at his stuff, there's a lot of things related to October 7th. I mean, just like don't be talking about stuff like that. This guy got released from prison. It's this, you show these imams or show people Gaza things. I mean, okay, fine, giving away free tacos, great. But this is what I told him. I said, hey, even if you stop talking about Hamas and prisoners or whatever it is, let's just be real. So this guy is a Muslim, and so his clients are Muslims. And that's, if like you're a black attorney, you're probably going to have a lot of black clients. That's just how it is, right? This guy, he's a fighter, so he's going to have these other people. He's speaking at ArabCon, like there's Arab people learning Islam and how that is, and all this like Atlanta Arab Festival. So what we were doing is doing stuff that we were going after general keywords. So if someone gets in a car accident, so our ads were working, but we weren't getting leads because it could be some random person in Atlanta, they get in a car accident, and then they see this guy who's a Muslim. I'm sure he's a great attorney and all that, but someone who's not Muslim and sees this stuff probably doesn't want to sign up. So when we look at this one, see with Google, we can only choose the keyword, the intent. So we were doing a good job. We did everything to optimize. All the stuff with car accidents and truck accidents, like we did all the Google stuff properly. But we just saw in the last few months, like it wasn't converting. And the attorney and the other team was looking at this like, oh, we're doing everything that we can. We're optimizing the website. And I said, guys, and they still don't understand this. I think you'll understand. I said, do you not realize the most obvious thing? So this guy, Ibrahim Awad, he's a Muslim. That's great. Be proud of that. We need to get more Muslim clients. He attracts his, and I said, what percent? Asked his main guy, Shoaib, who's his head of marketing. I said, Shoaib, what percent of your clients are Muslim? It's like super high, almost all of them. So I said, okay, well, if we know that that's the case and people want to work with people that are like them,
then you need to change the intent.
Yeah. So how do we do that? And I said, well, I don't think we can really do that on keyword searches because someone's not going to say Muslim personal car accident attorney, and they're not going to do that. We can maybe do it in YouTube because YouTube cares about who that person is. So if someone's consuming all this Muslim stuff or whatever the topics he's talking about, then YouTube would learn. Facebook and Instagram would learn. So I said, well, probably social media is the right approach. So this requires some level of expertise to understand what's the right tool. You can't do the same thing for everybody. So, the stuff here for dentists, I can't do the exact same thing for everybody because these guys don't take insurance. They don't do the teeth cleaning. They don't do emergency dental. They're very high-end cosmetic dentistry. These guys, yes, personal injury attorney, but they have to be Muslim. These guys, plumbing, well, there's nothing particular. This is not like a Muslim guy doing a plumbing. This is not, high-end or like this will work. Like people who have a plumbing problem, like, yeah, that's why this is working really well. And he's got a strong Google business profile and all that. So main point is, as we're setting up more clients inside this one, and I showed you these 4 examples, we need to decide, is it going to work? So we're not just going to come in here and say, oh, this works really well. We'll just go ahead and like add everyone in here. Oh, wait a minute. Is there an existing Google business profile that's doing well? Do they have some sort of specialization that makes it very hard for us to win in local, which then requires social or some other kind of targeting? And do they understand that map ranking is not a kind of like, panacea magic wand? They have to already be doing decently well, like in positions 4 to 10 for us to bump them up. And so like Plumbing Pros and Ardmore, of course, a 349% or 200% increase in Google Maps. So in local searches, Google Maps is the dominant thing by far, because that's when people search, you see the maps first. So yeah, it's not a surprise that these 2 did well. and these two didn't do well.
Hmm.
And so there's so much blindness in people that just love tools and love AI and whatever, and they just get all caught up in the details of how to use the tool instead of, well, let's think a little more strategically. And so the main guy who was our guy who was doing PPC on these first two, he didn't understand the strategic differences, the GCT things we talk about. So that's why he was stuck. And I had to come in and say, do you realize there's a difference in how these guys operate?
Does it make a difference here where it says plan type? The two successful ones are city and the other two are community.
Yeah, so the city is a 5-mile radius and the community is a 10-mile radius.
Got it.
So community is, let's just say it's more powerful. So if you're competing in the middle of Atlanta, city center downtown, then yeah, we need to have a bigger plan. City, you're in the suburbs, not as competitive. Yeah, so basically,
it makes sense.
Not as competitive, more competitive. So I think we pay $700 a month for that and $300 a month. Use the right level of power.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then for anyone who's watching, this is how you understand. We're being super transparent about how we do stuff. There's no magic here. The combination of all these things as local rankings. If you come in and you just start using this tool and you think using this alone is going to be enough, you're in for all kinds of problems. Okay, because then it won't stick. You have to keep doing this, and you have to do the organic posting, and you have to fix the website, and you need social proof because the AI and Google is looking across all these signals at the same time. There you go.